How's it going, guys? Music fan here. How you guys doing? Merry Christmas and happy holidays to all you subscribers out there to my channel. And I hope this holiday is a happy, joyful, and awesome one spent with friends, family, and loved ones. Definitely hope and wish for everyone watching this video and all my subscribers. So today I want to go on a really quick album review, and it's a review for the latest album from the Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and it's titled The Letters from the Labyrinth, released last month of 2015. And we're going to go on a short album review for it, so let's not waste any time. Let's start right now. So yeah, Letters of Labyrinth, this is the first studio album from the TSO since 2009's Night Castle, like the first album in 6-7 years, if you don't count the 2 compilation albums and the EP that came in between. So yeah, this is the first album in 6-7 years, maybe 8 years if I'm not correct. And this album really starts off very promisingly enough with the song Time and Distance, which really kind of attempts to make the album aim for a more catchier and more metal approach for this particular album. This is of course the third non-Christmas themed album from the TSO, following 2 previous other non-Christmas albums, Night Castle and Beethoven's Last Night. And this is the third non-Christmas release from the TSO. Now, particularly, I never really heard any words from the TSO of releasing a new album until around November last month, and when I caught word of that, I was kind of thinking that oh, cool, another TSO album. I wonder what this one's gonna be. So heading into this album, I really didn't know what to necessarily expect following this particular album. To be perfectly honest, I know Night Castle, the previous album, was a very sprawling 2-disc set, but to be honest, I really didn't hear much of the music from that particular album. The only thing I've heard from it was that it was a little more emphasis on metal than symphonic rock on that album. And this album, from the sounds of it when I first heard this album, attempts to kind of bring back the symphony element of their music, but at the same time attempts to really still keep in the metal genre, in the heavy metal genre of their sound and of their style. And again, it starts off promisingly enough with the song Time and Distance, or otherwise titled the Dash. And hearing that song, I was really pumped up. I was kind of feeling like, wow, we're gonna get an awesome TSO album. And the other thing to commend over here is the songwriting of these songs. Like, this is the first TSO album not to have a very overarching theme that connects all the songs together. Like, it's not a holiday connection, nor is it a non-holiday connection. Rather, these songs attempt to tackle, lyrically speaking, more humanistic subject matters. Like I'm thinking about greed, bullying, and the fragility of humanity. I mean, I think of the song Time and Distance, which deals with that subject matter in the lyrics of that song. And also the track Not Till Today, I think that's the name. Not the Same, that song, which really attempts to be like an anti-bullying kind of ballad here in this particular song. And now this kind of thing is not really new for the TSO. Of course, you had the previous 2 non-Christmas themed albums under their belt, but unlike those 2 other albums, this album again deals with more human themes as opposed to fantasy-inspired themes or even classical themes with the previous 2 non-Christmas albums. And I find that very commendable. I really find that very admirable that the TSO would try to create a more, lyrically speaking, a more all-encompassing album. And musically, I had good hopes as to being entertained from this album, from listening to the first track of this album. However, the longer I went into this album, then the more I found that it kind of dipped in quality. I mean, it started to start to kind of dip in quality the more I went into this. I mean, right after The Night Conceives, you have like 3 or 4 slow ballads that kind of follow around, and and even though you had tracks like Not Dead Yet and Who I Am, which tries to kind of interject more energy into the second half of this album, really the slower songs are more present on the second half than the first half, and I kind of find that to be a little disappointing in that respects. And even the energetic songs like the song Not Dead Yet, even though it has a really awesome bass line to it, I kind of find that album, even though it tries to put in energy to this album, I feel that it's an energetic song that kind of falls flat in a way, and which is a shame, because the first half of this album is really good, with a lot of great energy towards the first half of this album, but then the latter portion of this album kind of dips in quality, and when I expected this album to end with a bang, instead it quite literally ends with a lullaby. I mean, Lullaby Night, which ends this album off very quietly. And while I can commend the TSO for ending things in a very hushed note, I can't necessarily say that this album really lived up to what Time and Distance was promising. I mean, this album, it seems as if the TSO really tried to kind of meet things in the middle. They tried to bring back the symphonic element of their sound, while at the same time keeping the metal aspect of their sound intact. And while it does work in some spots on this album, I don't know, I just kind of feel that this album really, I mean, it's one thing to have ambition, and I think that's what the band was trying to do with this album. They were trying to lyrically tackle themes that were a little bit more humanistic, while at the same time musically they were trying to bring back the symphonic element. But I think the biggest problem I have with this album is more its execution than its ambition. And while I can commend the TSO for ambition, I cannot necessarily say the same for the execution. I feel that this album, especially in the second portion of it, kind of falls flat. And the track Not the Same, I really like this song in theory. I mean, it's particularly a song about bullying. The lyrically speaking, it's about bullying. And while I can commend that, the lyrics to that song I kind of feel doesn't match up with the ambition of the idea of that particular song. And I just kind of feel that lyrically it falls a little bit flat in that particular sense. And I can commend the ambition. I love the idea to that song, and it's a good song, but it just doesn't match up that ambition like the rest of this album. So yeah, if I can give a rating to this one, I'd have to say 2.5, or even a 3. It just kind of meets, it's probably the first middle of the road kind of album for the TSO in a while. And yeah, I'm still a fan of the TSO. I'm not gonna dislike the TSO by any means of the imagination, but this album I kind of feel is probably their first dud in their discography, in their catalog. And if you love this album, great, fantastic for you. Keep enjoying it to your heart's content. But for me, I just kind of wish the execution of this album, while good, And don't get me wrong, dude, like the songs here are good, are still really, really, really good. But the majority of the songs off this album just really fall flat for me, and I kind of wished this album would work. I wish this album would have worked for me on the same level as the other TSO albums did, and unfortunately this is what I got from this album. So yeah, these are my thoughts on Letters from the Labyrinth. As unique as this album is, I wish it would have been executed more well than what I've heard from this. Anyway, comments. Leave your comments down on the comments section below. Tell me what you think. And again, these are my thoughts and my opinions. So offer your thoughts on the comment section below. Tell me what you think, and have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and see you guys next time. Letters from the Labyrinth, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Mr. Music Fan, Merry Christmas, and take care. See you later.